joined us now. It's really good to be together, as you said. I'm going to just give Mr. Ryan a few minutes to speak about some of the things that we've been thinking about, dreaming about since he started. So, as you know, Earl is not as new anymore. We can still be considered. It's almost like when you buy a new car and the smell starts to go away. So you get used to your smell around your skin. So not so new anymore. So yeah, over to you, and then after you I'll just say a few words before we go into the block.
I promise to start showering twice a week. For the parents who aren't here today, those who couldn't make it. Good morning, parents of Divine School. Welcome to our premises on Saturday. Have children, they said. It'll be a door, they said. Love you, baby. So yeah, I've been the business manager since September of last year. And we've been a parent here since Max, our son, started in grade R. So this is our 4th year in school. And that's learning curve has been steep, both first as a parent and then becoming a staff member of the team. Because we started out, as soon as our children were old enough to be drop kicked into play school, we drop kicked them into play school. And the whole thing about play school is you drop them at the gate, and then you see them hours later, and then they just leave the school, and how was your day? No, we had a good day. So then you assume you're feeding your child to the vine, and it's pretty much going to be the same. You drop them at the gate, and then they'll sing some songs and learn some verses and pray, and then you'll see them at the end of the day. And that was pretty much what I was expecting as a parent, if I'm being honest with other parents. But then you have like your first parent-teacher meeting, and the teacher wants to know, so how much screen time is your child getting? At exactly the stage in your parenting when you discovered screen time. You discover that if you give your child a phone, they will leave you alone for 45 minutes. And so, it's in that conversation when you, for the first time, you say, no, it's only 15 minutes a day. Knowing full well it's not quite. Anyway, it's a steep learning curve. Is the point of what I'm saying. And so once I then found myself in the role of business manager at the school, I needed to start to grapple with this idea of a living education, both as a parent and as the business manager, someone who's not on the educational side of things. And I had to start figuring out actually what does it mean. Because when you're a parent, you can hear it and go, cool, a living education. But for me, it felt like I need to be able to explain this to other parents, because I work here now. I need to have a better answer than a living education is really cool. And so I spent some time thinking about that. Thinking about if I was going to express it, how would I do that? And so what that led me to was re-articulating the school's vision and mission statement. And what's important about that is that it's not a new vision and mission statement. It's a re-expression of what we already understand. But I was hoping to find a way to say it respectfully, not in the amble side, just like human beings talk to each other, like that, Yeah. So I went through a couple of iterations, lengthy conversations with ChatGPT, the principal, obviously, we discussed it as a staff body, we discussed it at the board, and now we're going to share it with you. Really? Our vision is children who care deeply, think clearly, communicate confidently, and walk humbly in the wonder of God's truth in every part of life. That is the vision. I knew. So, I'll read it again. Just if you only heard it once, the true amazingness of it doesn't reach it for the second time. Our vision. Children who care deeply, think clearly, communicate confidently, and walk humbly God's truth in every part of life. How do we do that? That leads us to our mission statement. How do we make that work? We do it by partnering with families to nurture a love for God, a love for learning, and a love for others through living ideas, meaning relationships, and joyful discovery within a diverse, Christ-centered community. The most important things about that sentence are partnership between the school and parents, and a Christ-centered community. That's how the caring deeply, thinking clearly, communicating confidently, and the walking humbly happens. It's relational. It's partnership. It doesn't work in any other way. And the real reason I'm telling you all of this is coming now. We need partnership with you. It's the only way the show works. And so, one of the things that I felt had maybe gotten lost over the years was that sense of community. Because this really doesn't work without a sense of community. If you just want your child to learn to read and learn about history, you could send him to any school, anywhere on earth. That's what you could, if you wanted to. Our assumption is if you are sending them here, you want more for them than that. That's our baseline assumption. It's not just about. Your child's long-term earning potential is, of course, very important. But where they will spend eternity, we assume, is more important than that to all of us. And so that needs to feel like something every day at the school. That's very important. So, the 3 pathways of participation. This is how we can partner together in no particular order. We've run for a while, we have a partnership with U-Turn. And I think it was Simone, my lovely wife, commented this morning when we were on our way here, that a year ago, when I came to this event as a parent, the idea of being the business manager was not on our radar. And so I was approaching it very differently, and she was just commenting that. But I think it was last year. Is Hannah Kruan here this morning? Hannah did a presentation on U-Turn and the Tops and Tags project. And because Hannah's a parent, and I was a parent, I just assumed clearly this is a pet project of this parent, and the school has very kindly given them time to talk about their passion project, and that's nice. But what became clear after I was the business manager is that the school actually has this partnership with U-Turn, and there are a couple of programs that are being run that even as the business manager it took me a month and a half to discover. And so it occurred to me that possibly other parents are also under-informed about this partnership. So why does it even matter that we partner with U-Turn? I would like to tell you 2 quick stories about my son. Selwyn, can you give me a glass of water? Talking to all these parents is making my throat really dry. My son is 6. If you've met my son, but in my opinion, he's the most lovely boy on earth. I know I'm not objective, but that's fine. We were going to Checkers one day to do grocery shopping. And my son Max loves pizza. So he said to me, Dad, can we get a pizza? And I said, son, that'll be no problem at all. While we're at Checkers, we'll get a pizza. So I got one of the pre-wrapped, in the fridge thing, one of those pizzas. So now we get outside, we're on our way home, and I notice my son seems downcast, unhappy about something. And I'm like, Max, talk to your dad. What's the problem? How can I help you? What's going on? No, nothing. And eventually we get to the cause of the problem. We were shopping at Checkers, and like 2 shops down there is a focaccia. And my son wanted a focaccia pizza, not a Checkers pizza. My son is 6. This blew my mind a little bit. Thank you very much. I see that hand. And I actually messaged my wife and I said, this boy is not happy with the Checkers pizza that I got every once in a while. Pizza. And my wife pointed out, this is a safe space, right? My wife pointed out that I will only eat the Woolworths rotisserie chicken, not the Checkers or the Pick n Pay. But I mean, what I said to her was, I'm 40 years old, 41 years old, almost 42. I've got a job. Surely I should, have options at this point in my life. Also, have you tasted the Woolworths? It's their flagship item. It's an amazing rotisserie chicken. But anyway, it got me thinking, how do I get my children to engage with the concept that things that they take for granted are not things that everyone gets to take for granted? This was thought into action number 1 with my son. Then one morning on our way to school, while I'm still waking up, weaving through traffic, he comes at me from the opposite end of this problem. We're driving in the car, listening to the radio, having the time of our lives, just on our way getting the day started. And my 6-year-old son says to me, Dad, does God decide who's going to be poor? I said, in the morning, man. Anyway. The purpose of the U-Turn Partnership is to help our children engage with these ideas. That some people don't get to take for granted the things that we take for granted. And the people that you see sleeping in corners, under parts of coverings, are people. Human beings. No less worthy of respect and God's love than anybody else. And so, our partnership with you, the whole point is to make that real, make an actual conversation that we can have about it. And so, what we do through UTIP, so during the course of this year, in October, the grade double R's to 3 will be doing something called living roots, which is sorting red tags and bottle tops. Also, for the record, the whole school is now collecting red tags and bottle tops. The bins are in their classrooms. Please assist us in this regard. In grade 4 to 6 in August, you'll find this in the calendar. These are the class social events. In August, grade 4 to 6, we'll be doing veggie preparation. Grade 7 to 9, we'll be doing plant propagation, also in October. And we have a clothing donation bin available to all families. When Ryno and I had this conversation yesterday, we actually didn't know where the bin was. But then Janice and I were talking about storage, and we have found the bin. But in the meantime, so we'll do an official launch of this at Market Day, which is on the 7th of March. But in the meantime, if you have clothes that you no longer wear, wives, I'm looking at you, because I get like a third of the but I do have some extra socks that if I'm going to anyway, if they are good clothes that can be worn, if you're only not wearing them because you don't want to, we will find people who want to wear them, we'll bring them to us. And we will worry about where the bin is, and we'll make sure that it gets there if you just bring it to the office, and we'll put back on it. And then in May, every year, U-Turn does what is called a camp out. It's a rough sleeping event. They do it all over the place, and we're going to do it at the school. Other schools do a group camp event. This is kind of like that, but of course, because we're the Vine, it has to have more meaning than just camping. We're doing something meaningful, yeah. So it's to create the feeling of camping, but also so that when they see that person sleeping out on the street, they have some sense of what that's like. Any person can actually sleep outside. It's not like they're from a different planet or anything. So that'll be on the 8th of May. And we trust, any child. So I spoke with someone at U-Turn. There's no age floor. If you feel comfortable to have you and your child come and sleep with us outside, it's okay. It's entirely up to you as a parent. There will be sleeping bags, and I think it's flat cardboard boxes. But that's the thing. If your child can handle that, in your opinion, if you can handle that, you are more than welcome to join us. We'd love to see you. Then, the second pathway to participation is through fundraising. There are a number of programs that we are working on, but our flagship fundraising program is the Flourish Fund. I don't know how much you all know about this, but I've learned, and so I'm going to assume that we're all on a learning journey together. The Flourish Fund, up until recently, the goal was 1,000 people giving 100 Rand a month, which we've discovered is problematic, so we are changing it. The goal of the Flourish Fund is to get 100 people donating 100 Rand a month to the school every month. We are currently sitting on less than 100 people. And the purpose of the Flourish Fund is to help us stabilize all of our children's learning experience. There are, during the course of running this whole operation, we do occasionally find ourselves where the timing of income and outgo hasn't properly lined up. And so the Flourish Fund helps us stabilize that. But what that means for your child is that it helps in keeping the class sizes small, so that the teacher can have an actual relationship with your child. Because the whole educational platform is built on a teacher having a relationship with your child. It helps invest in teacher training, so that the teacher can be at their best every day. I've only got 2 children. I need to be at my best every moment of every day. And also, it helps us with maintaining the premises as well. So that's the long term of what the Flourish Fund is. Yes. And then, pathway 3, the PVA, Parent Volunteer Association. Dun, dun, dun. In chatting with ChatGPT about it made a mistake and called it the Parent Vine Association, which I actually quite like. It sounds very... But Ryno and I are still discussing that branding choice. We're working it out. The PVA is the relational engine of our parent community. It matters because when parents are relationally and practically connected, the children experience greater emotional security, stability, which directly supports confidence, joy, and learning. And so the primary purpose of the PVA is to facilitate whatever way in which you think you can be helpful to any small way. It's not about overloading a small group of people. It's about as many people as possible contributing a little bit, whatever that means to you. If you're good at something, if you have time, if you care about something, if a thing is annoying you and you want to do something about it, not just complain about it, the PVA is the avenue for that. It's just so that there's one contact and communication stream for all of those kinds of activities. It's not a governing body, and it's not a fundraising committee per se, but it does support in fundraising activity and events. On that note, the issue of class reps. At the moment, grade 2 and 6 have a class rep. All of the other grades need one. So if you are a parent in any of those grades, please, as a plea, consider becoming a class rep. You can speak to Janice about that. She'll be most happy to facilitate you becoming a class rep for your grade. And then I wanted to go over just the highlights of our event schedule. The 7th of March is Market Day. We need an MC for Market Day. I will do the job if no one else wants to do it. Quentin did it once, but he turned me down. I'm still getting over the heartbreak. But if you know anyone other than me who loves the sound of their own voice in a microphone, please let me know if you need an MC for Market Day. The 8th of May is our U-turn campout. The 18th of July, we are having a whole school social. The last whole school social was at my house. But only because it was under a certain number of people. If it's over that, then we'll do it at the school. But if anyone's curious about what my house looks like, you can come on the 18th of July. My wife is looking forward to hosting you. Because she's an angel. 19th of September is Shakespeare Fair, and then 2 December is our year-end carols picnic. My closing thought: the success of your child depends on all of us. We are not looking for a few people to do a lot. We are looking for as many as possible to do what they can. Thank you.
It's how close we get to be every day when it puts them on. Thanks all for setting the tone, for hopefully softening some hearts as I have some real talk with Ryno, let's call it that, this morning. What you've heard from Earl this morning is it's so much more than just a list of programs and initiatives to be part of. It's an invitation into this community. It's an invitation into this partnership, and it's an invitation into a way of being a school community together. At the Vine, and you might have heard this before, we speak often about the fact that education is the science of relationships. In other words, as we know, it's not just about content, it's not just about systems or outcomes or WCED reports. It's about relationships with ideas that our children engage with in the books, with people, with the created world, and ultimately the Creator Himself, our Heavenly Father. This conviction informs every single thing we do. So if you want to know why, we refer back to the vision and mission that was articulated by Earl a few moments ago. We'll also be sharing that with you on the WhatsApp groups and via email. So as Earl mentioned, this also means that a school like ours only truly works and can be a successful community when there is genuine partnership and relationship between all of us. Not perfection, not agreement in every detail, but trust and a common shared goal. We all want to see our children grow into the men and women that God has called them to be. I'm blessed to not only have 2 children, but 108, 2 children plus 108 that we have at the school. And it's not only my desire, but the desire of our teachers to see them and to lay those foundations where they get to be all that God has called them to be. And that's sometimes a painful process. Growth is never easy. I'll never forget when we moved here in 2024, that first 6 months was absolutely a horrendous adjustment to go through. And my marriage survived through that whole process. But there was one night during this painful adjustment where our little one, our oldest one now, Emma, she was battling for about a week with growing pains. So in the middle of the night, she would just wake up screaming from these growing pains in her leg. And after many nights of sleeplessness and waking up, and I just was so frustrated, and I remember putting my hand on her legs and I say, Lord, please just take this pain away. And instantly, I don't even know, I couldn't remember if I was awake. I felt the Holy Spirit say to me, if I take the pain away, she's not going to grow. So let that sink in for your children. When things are tough, when they struggle with paying attention, when they struggle with finishing a task, growth is always painful. But that's why we are here, to assist you with those growing pains. I was once very offended when it's about 10 years now since I've walked with the Lord and joined my first church and very excited, and suddenly realized that, well, hang on, there's some things here that don't align with Acts 2, the Acts 2 church. So I set up an appointment with the pastor, and I was going on a bit of a rant, and he paused, and I was probably offended for a few months after he said it, but he said to me, he looked at me and said, you know what, there's no such thing as a perfect church. If you do find it, don't go there, because you're going to spoil it. So you can imagine if when you would all of this, I was pretty offended. But then as I went on, and as I also started working in education, I realized that's true for a school. And so this is where the real talk comes in. If you find the perfect school, ... So more than anything else, this year what we want to try and get right is to strengthen this partnership we have between school, admin, and teachers. You see, when adults who care about the child, and I'm sure all of us in this room that's true, we work with one another, even when we don't see things the same way. That means that's the space where our children will flourish. When communication breaks down, when frustration creeps in, when assumption replaces conversation, children feel it immediately. Our commitment to you is to pursue understanding and resolution, and all we ask is the same thing. And so that's why our communication pathways and policies matter. The teachers will be sharing a little bit from the parent and on that later. But they exist to protect the relationships that we try and create and to grow. And like any healthy family, I said this last year as well, we will sometimes disagree. I often refer to that in assembly with the children. But healthy families speak to one another, not about one another, and certainly not in WhatsApp groups. So your teachers will walk you through our concerns in previous processes very briefly, but it is in our parent handbook. If you don't have a parent handbook yet, please get in touch with us in the office and we'll make sure you get one. And in saying that, all of this, the communication and all our processes, is not for us because we want to be bureaucratic in any way. But I want to encourage you to see it as a gift that help us, to see it as a gift that help us handle difficult conversations well. And then on a bit of a side note in terms of communication, I gave the teachers firm instruction on Tuesday to not to respond to WhatsApps or emails after 5 p.m. and not during class time, obviously, because they will need to be doing what you paid them to do. And so please don't expect responses on WhatsApp and email after 5. Contrary to what the children believe, we don't live here, we don't sleep here. Because I'm obviously here early, it's walking past one of the little ones and says, Mr. V, when do you go home? When do you go home? When I'm here, you're here. When I go, you're still here. Funny enough, we do have a life outside of this community, which needs to be respected. So speaking of which, I didn't prepare it for this, but if I could just ask all the teachers to stand so we can see your faces very quickly. Teachers, I'm going to put you on the spot for a moment. I'm going to mention their names and introduce them at the end of my chat, but I just felt that we should just take a moment. We don't often get the chance to be together like this as a community and engaging with parents in this way. But these are the people, as all mentioned, our vision and mission, these are the people that carry the most weight when it comes to seeing this vision and this vision and mission lived out. What you see at home, in the books, or in what we read, it's only just today, and what you'll hear about in the class is a very small portion of what happens here. Behind every lesson, behind every meeting, behind every email, every conversation with your child, these people spend hours preparing. Careful thought, praying. If you can show me a school that when the child is in birthday, the teacher prays for them. Before the year even starts, the teacher prays for them. Goes to their desk, prays, Lord, show me how I can help this child grow. You can show me a school that does many other wonderful things. But a school that is as committed to praying for your child, I don't know. It's like those outsurance. If you find a better quote outsurance, come back to me, we'll make a better offer. Yeah. So teaching at a school like O'Ryan is really not easy work. And I'm saying that without diminishing what other teachers at other schools do. They have other challenges they face, other burdens they carry. But they're not just delivering content. That's probably, they'll tell you, is probably the easiest part. They're forming habits, cultivating habits of attention, nurturing and love for them, setting moral standards and caring for them as they would care for their own. An emotional investment that they make. Caring for them as whole persons, heart, mind and soul. It requires patience, consistency and deep commitment. Let me tell you, they show up despite what's happening in life outside of the school. And so for that, teachers, we salute you. I'm going to take a moment to parents to give them a hand. These people that stood before us as the shepherd of children that are in their class, to speak positively about them, especially in front of their children. Trust them. Partner with them. When questions, concerns arise, approach them directly and graciously. A teacher who feels supported and teach with confidence and joy. That gift flows directly into your child. So, the next bit of real talk, this is the last little bit of real talk, and we'll move on to less heavier things. I think it's really important that we start the year, and again, some of the teachers, depending on which grades these texts you will find, is I want to speak about something that sometimes does raise a question or concern for parents about the books that our children read. And so at times, depending on the grade again, and the time of the year, semester 1 or semester 2, your child may encounter stories that include grief, injustice, war, prejudice, or moral failure. And I can understand that it can feel unsettling, especially when you're just hearing fragments of that story at home. But I want to reassure you about why these texts, why these books are included in our curriculum, and how they are handled in the classroom. We read these books not to trouble them, but to help them grow. These kind of topics at school and with a teacher there to help them feel the safest place, and at home, that your children can engage in conversations like this. So you see, real life contains both joy and sorrow, because we all have our fair share of both of that. Meeting these realities in literature in an age-appropriate and a guided way, in a loving way, helps them to develop courage, compassion, and discernment. Just imagine what our government or our country would look like if our governors governed with these three characteristics: compassion, courage, and discernment. Just imagine what the world can look like if those in leadership and power can lead with those three characteristics. We look at stories that show consequences of wrong actions so that goodness becomes clearer. The books teach children that faith speaks into every part of human experience, not only the pleasant part. Obviously, there's some boundaries. Graphic violence, explicit material, or sensational content have no place in our curriculum. Evil is never presented to shock or to entertain. And the teachers guide discussions with a steady and a gentle tone, and when we find any outdated or hurtful language that's being used in the older text, it's explained, not celebrated, and they give it substitute words to use. And the moment is handled with sensitivity and care. So we don't certainly endorse everything in these books. Some of the authors reflect the blind spots of their time. Rather than ignoring them, we use them to teach wisdom by asking better questions of the children in the class. So what was wrong here? What was unjust? What would be loving instead? And so handled with love and care, both here at school and at home, these difficult stories help children become adults who can face suffering without fear, recognize injustice, and do what is good, even though it's hard. So when we go to the classrooms later in the teaching to speak, we'll hand out a little one-page just with a few tips as to how you can help engage in this conversation if the child comes home and there's been this discussion in the classroom. Because we sometimes don't even know where to start, and if we go, what do I say now? So we'll just give you something, and some of the teachers will go into a little bit more detail depending on the grades. And so, as I will refer to a couple of times, partnership really matters deeply to us. So I want to personally invite all of you, as you would have seen on the calendar, on the 22nd of May, we'll have a one-day parent internship. So it's an opportunity for you to take some time off of work. They're not great. Spend a full day at school, maybe half a day, not as visitors, but as a learner. You will have the opportunity to come and observe in the classes, to see the lessons as they unfold, and to read and discuss why and what it is that we do. You'll engage with the thinking behind all the practices and be able to ask your questions and begin to see how these pieces all fit together. As the books, the atmosphere, the discipline, the habits, and the life we are cultivating. It's really a lot to come to grips with. And we are fortunate, those of us that work here, every week we engage with it. And this is really important because a lot of what we understood from the outside. I mean, there's no meeting or document that I can give you to help you just get at it within one meeting. But when parents see the philosophy lived out and embodied at our school, not just explained, I think that really builds trust and confidence in what it is that we do. You might see the fruit at home, you might not see it, but we'll trust that we will get there. But what is the gears and the mechanics that is all put together for this to happen? I also believe that it helps bridge the gap between home and school in a way that no document, as I said, in meeting ever could. We'll share more details close to the time, but 27th of May. And then, I just want to speak about, I think Earl shared enough about inviting us into this partnership, and we shared about how you could get involved, but then, and we'll keep talking about this until Kingdom Come, every year. Seeing the effects of overstimulation, distraction, and disconnection, particularly through screens. Our children find it more difficult to pay attention. Their sleep is poorer. We see from younger ages, every year, younger and younger, they suffer from anxiety. They don't know what real relationships look like anymore, because what we see on the screens and social media is absolutely distorted. And so as a school, we are and will continue to intentionally resist the drift. We value living books because those are what feed our minds. The mind cannot survive on junk food. And we can't do this alone. So what happens in your homes, often it's interesting when the lower grades, they talk about weekend news. And so, yeah, we don't have eyes, but we have ears. What happens at home matters tremendously. And so parents, in all seriousness, be bold and courageous when it comes to these things. Digital stuff, online, screen time, what they are exposed to, what games they play. You don't have to be their best friend. If you're going to make these decisions, you will be unpopular, and you will things like, I don't like you anymore. And they'll go sit in their room and they'll be upset, but it's fine. Life is hard. They need to know how to deal with no. So limit screen time. Guard what enters the imagination. I'm sure every one of you has a testimony of what the effects are on your children. I often speak to parents and say, no, we had to draw the line. We could see the difference in school in how they behave. Let us encourage them to prioritize real relationships over these digital things that happen. They are not yet equipped to navigate these spaces wisely without strong boundaries. They need us as adults that are willing to do it. We also ask, as we always do, for your partnership in the practical disciplines of school life, such as adherence to uniform. I mean, on the last day of school, when I came to the office last year, fortunately there weren't many of you around, but I wore a black shoe and a brown shoe. But now, can you imagine if you come to a parent meeting and the principal looks like this and his shirt is unbuttoned and said, held down on the floor, what does that say? For my chest distance. What does that say? They can't choose what they want to wear when they go to work one day. They will have uniform policies at work one day. Why don't we just teach them the right thing now? Someone can work.
Sorry, I just want to say that the Ryno untucked his shirt under the button, he looked like me.
Small things shape big habits, and habits shape character. When our expectations as a school and as parents of our children are clear, they feel secure. Believe it or not, they want those boundaries. They need it. So lastly, I want to thank you, parents, for choosing the Ryno. You could have chosen many other schools. Places defined by size, facilities, technology, reputation. Instead, you've chosen a school that believes education is about forming people who care deeply, think clearly, communicate confidently, and walk humbly before God. I'm sure that those of you who've been here for a number of years know that it's not the easiest path, but it's a hopeful one. And so as we begin this year together, I want to invite you to see it as a fresh start, not just for your children, but for all of us. A renewed commitment to this partnership that we often speak about. To trust one another, to speak well to one another, of one another, to do the small and faithful things that over time, not maybe will, bear lasting fruit. So thank you for entrusting us with your children and for walking this road with us. Our teachers look forward to sharing with you what this year will look like in their classrooms, but my prayer is that we would see our children and this community flourish not for our own sake, but for the sake of this world out there. I've often said to them in assemblies, you come to school to learn and to grow, not for your kingdom, so that you can go out and serve this world with love and mercy, which it so desperately needs. And so, as I announce the teachers' names, please follow them to the classrooms. Please take a chair with you, just in case there's not enough chairs in the classroom, or if you don't feel like sitting on a small preschool chair. So preschool and grade R